I'll start with attitude and I'll work my way from there.
All right, going live here.
I'll see, there's a little tease. Ted's got a secret window over there. He just shows us a little leg and then the whole window's off screen. And now we're all wondering, what secrets is Ted not showing us?
Yeah.
I'm on way to tell.
There we go. So question one, what secrets are you not showing us?
Trying to get the YouTube chat to pop out, but YouTube is not cooperating. Let me try saying hello. Because the pop-out button's missing on YouTube. There it is. It's just going really slowly. Okay. So welcome everyone to another episode of SEO Fight Club. I know it's been about a month, but we are back. I will have some occasional background noise. I have more construction going on in the house. So my apologies for that. And I know that everybody is dying to know, how did Ted do in Vegas? And so I'll tell you how I did and how well it worked and what I walked away with. And so I gambled on 5 occasions, and each time I gambled, I predicted my earnings and I cashed out once I hit my prediction goal. And so for me, my opinion is that's as good as it can get in Vegas when you predict what you're going to win and you do it and you repeat the test 5 times. That's a pretty good run. So what did I do to get this type of outcome? I bet on red. 100% of my Vegas bets were on red. All of them. I did not deviate from betting on red a single time. I bet on red every single time. Now, I did not play on the traditional fun roulette table. And the reason I didn't play on the traditional fun roulette table is because they have minimum and maximum bets. And that doesn't let me win 100% of the time. So you can't play on a standard roulette table and use my method. So I found video roulette that had 25-cent minimum bids so I could practice my strategy in a low-risk environment. And then I crept it up to $1 bet. And my strategy was every time I'd lose, since it was a no-limit roulette table, I would double my bet until I won again. And so this turns the gambling from gambling on a single instance to gambling on how bad your longest losing streak will be. So if I have enough funds to cover my worst losing streak, I'm fine. And so it turns out for me on this occasion, my worst losing streak was 7 losses in a row. And so my maximum single bet was $128 at one time. But because of the nature of stacking losses, that means I needed to have $300 or $400 in my pocket to cover my worst losing streak. So every time I'd win, I'd go back to my minimum bet. And every time I'd lose, I'd double my bet until I won. And then I'd go back to my minimum bet and mitigate the risk. And so I did that on 5 occasions, and I won every time. My first time doing it, I bet quarters and I doubled my money. My second time doing it, I bet quarters and I tripled my money. My third and fourth time, I bet dollars and I tripled my money. And my last time, I bet dollars and I quadrupled my money. In the end, I ended up leaving Vegas with about $400 of Vegas's money. And I picked up one dinner tab for $5, and that cost $600. So the house always wins. So just keep that in mind. But I thought that was pretty good. Every time I sat down, I predicted how much earnings I was going to walk away with. And ultimately, I'd say doing this strategy at the lowest risk, you're talking about making $20 an hour. And it's not the kind of money you would want to quit your day job for. So there's better money to be made. Clint Butler tried playing my method. And after about 10 minutes, he quit in total disgust. He didn't find it entertaining at all. He thought it was a horrible way to spend your time. And he even won. He used the method playing quarters, got to $5, and decided he hated the strategy. And I'll give him that. It's boring. And then when you hit a really bad losing streak, it's scary. And so I had to have something to muster my courage to stick it out to beat the losing streak. So I would tell myself, unless it's the end of times, red will come again. And so having that to hang on to when those losing streaks kick in was part of it. And you know what? Red came again. So it eventually did. But keep in mind that 98% of all gamblers give up right before striking it big. So, but that's how I did. How'd you do in Vegas, Lee?
I didn't wager a single dollar.
Yeah, but how much did you lose?
However many restaurants I went to, that's how many times I lost.
Yeah, it doesn't matter if you win big. If you eat food in Vegas, you're walking away a loser. So that's how they get you.
Yeah, just to give you an idea, we went, you were there the one night we went to a particular restaurant. Honey and I are both vegan. We had a plate full of vegetables and a glass of wine. It was $200. So
yeah. And in the food court, a burger, a Coke, and a side of fries is going to set you back $40. So yeah, it's insane there.
You're going to drop money one way or another.
Yeah.
Both.
Yeah, so I won in roulette and I lost at the restaurants. All right, so let's talk SEO now that we're past the Vegas thing. That conference was amazing, by the way. The rumor mill is that they did not get a good ROI on it because attendance wasn't where they needed it to be for how they were investing in the event. But man, informationally, I think the content of that conference is going to be hard for other conferences to beat this year. I'm not saying it's not achievable, but the SEO information in that conference was staggeringly good. What was your thought of that?
Yeah, I think that there was a lot of good. I mean, a lot of times there are, several presentations where you can more or less tune out because either more than the speaker does or they're talking about something that you don't care about. But I didn't find that with any of the speakers here. There was always little pieces, sometimes little nuanced stuff, sometimes major nuggets that got dropped that certainly made it worthwhile. I took a crap ton of notes and have multiple things to test. The only knock I will have on this conference is this. Usually you find really great information at the bar. It was hard to go to the bar and hear people. It was loud. So, unless you left, the property, you weren't going to have, these, the extensive conversations, which is normally where you pick up more nuggets than the actual conference itself. So,
yeah, I would have actually liked if the setting was a more chill, low-key place in Vegas. Like there are casinos where it doesn't feel like bells are going off and you're in the most extreme Chuck E. Cheese ever engineered. You know, I'd like to get away from that vibe, and they could have picked like something on the old strip or something like that would have probably saved them a fortune, because man, Caesars, that's an expensive place.
Yeah.
But in terms of like the speaker lineup and what the speakers brought, it's clear that Craig and Chris and Andy and their whole team, they know how to throw an event. And so I'd say they aced it on those fronts, even though the ROI might not have manifested. But to me, they proved that they know how to do this well. Now they have to figure out the business side on how to do it more profitably. But man, it was cool.
My guess on that is timing, because I attended an event in June, threw one in June. There was another one that somebody threw in July. There was their event in August. And summertime just looks like a rough time to get people. I mean, kids are out of school, people are traveling, they're doing their vacations. It may be that, you're looking at, first quarter, fourth quarter are the times to throw your conferences, because it's easier to get out and about at those times.
And it's 115 degrees. That's always a kicker.
Yeah, and there's this concept of topic burn. A lot of speakers kind of repeat their presentations, and I didn't see that at this event, but I've seen it in the past. And people are like, "Oh, well, I saw that speaker in April, so I don't need to see him again this year." And so when you get that topic burn, that can hurt you too. And so I think there needs to be like new policies, because there are so many new conferences now. Everybody's running a conference now. So many new conferences, you got to really communicate that the topics you're talking about are new and fresh, and you didn't hear them in April. This is new information. So if you're not communicating that, I think that works against you too.
Yeah. But it was nice. There were usually at most of these conferences lately, I know a good chunk of the people. There were a ton of people that I didn't know, and it was nice to have them come up and talk. There are a lot of them that are big fans of the show, which is fun to hear that. A lot of them wanted to talk to me about tested SEO training, because they'd heard good things about it and all that kind of stuff. So that was also good. That for me, that'll help. Our next training is like September 13th. So if people are interested, they can reach out to me on Skype or whatever. But there was just a lot of new people. And so I found myself in a lot of different conversations than, talking to you or talking to Matt or Madge or whatever else, just the standard folks. So that was also another benefit. They got a bunch of people that are outside of the normal conference circle, I guess you would say.
Yeah, and it was cool to see a press release company attend as a speaker role and talking about strategies to mitigate link decay with press releases. I thought that was cool when Randy did that. And that bridges me to our sponsor, who probably also should be speaking at conferences talking about how to mitigate link decay.
Yeah, Madge.
No, I did try to come to this one. I really did want to, because I've been to the US. But unfortunately, last minute changes. But next year, I will be attending one of the conferences in the US.
Awesome.
I don't know which. Yeah.
And so, Magic PR is one of my favorite three. I like to have three companies in my pocket in case I need a certain quota of referring domains. And Magic PR has always been the highest quality backlink producer of the three I use. I don't always need the highest quality backlinks. That isn't always my problem, but when it is, it's a good one to go to. Madge has a lot of experience in all aspects of press releases, and I vouch for his service. The main complaint I've heard about Madge's service is when he's traveling, he's hard to get a hold of, and that communication delay seems to really piss people off. So just know that if you catch Madge while he's traveling, it gets a little complicated and you need to be patient. He's one guy and he tries to respond to everyone. Madge, tell us about your 3 levels. Who are they intended for? The bronze. The
No,
silver.
I'm glad you mentioned, Ted, that people like to use different inventory when it comes to whether it's high quality, low quality, or whatever in the PR industry. What we've managed to do at Magic PR is have every distribution level across the bronze, silver, and gold, rather than a individual shopping around for a PR service. We have every distributor on board now. So you don't need to think, oh, okay, I've used Magic PR, but I could go use a different firm for argument's sake. By all means, you can. I'm not stopping you. But what I've enjoyed to do is get the right publications across each level, right? So if your client hasn't got the budget and is looking for a quick deliverable, then bronze is the one to go for. But if your client has a decent budget, wants some high quality links, but wants a good amount of links, then the silver is the best one to go for. But if your client's looking for the highest level and has used in the past companies like Cision, Newswire.com, whoever the top distributors out there, then our gold is the one to go for. Now, the reason I say that is every business is different out there, depending on what they're trying to achieve, whether it's local, whether it's a national campaign that they want to do. But my most important thing, guys, was indexing. When you're doing a press release, a lot of the low quality inventory wasn't getting indexed. So this year I made a decision where I will change the inventory and make sure within the first 24 to 48 hours, these publications are being indexed. And that's what's happening, because the feedback that I'm getting for the last 2 or 3 months is, Madge, your stuff's working, because we're seeing organic growth, visibility on our traffic, as well as the rankings improving over a 2 or 3 week period after doing the PR. Okay. Now, that's because of the premium distribution that we have. It really does work. And Business Insider was one of the top ones for me to achieve, and allowing that within the silver package now, because the pricing is now what it is, but very soon it will be changing. It will be coming, not going higher, it'll be coming lower. So whether people want to wait, that's entirely up to you. But the reason I've done this change is I've managed to get distribution, high distribution, quantity distribution at a very low price. And this is why I've streamlined the packages now to bronze, silver, and gold, rather than having too many and confusing people. So that's the end all. And having my own Google News network, as you already know, that's behind the scenes what we do. No other company does that. So we don't just do a PR distribution.
And just so the audience knows, there's no money changing hands in this sponsorship. I am a customer of Magic PR, and they are providing Lee, Clint, and I some press releases to actually conduct research for SEO, to do our scientific testing on press releases. And that's how this sponsorship works. So no money changing hands on this. I'm a customer of his as well as other services, and I like it. It's one of my favorite 3.
Thank you. Yeah, and a lot of people have been asking me, how is the testing coming along? I go, because of all these conferences, we've not really started, but we will be starting very soon.
So it's all going to start. We're thinking that we're going to test 3 different ways. Like Clint's going to run his test, Lee's going to run his test his way, I'm going to run my test my way, and then we're going to all come back and share notes, what we did, what results we got, what we discovered, trying to get a mixture of testing variety versus doing the thing where we all do exactly the same thing for scientific purity. We're kind of more leaning, what can we discover? And then we can always double down on retesting in a phase 2. But right now we need to cast a wide net and test in different ways and try to see where there are interesting things to learn. And so I'm intrigued by it, but yeah, it's a matter of getting it onto the front burner.
Yeah, no problem.
What do you think, Lee? Any thoughts on how we should test it?
I love press releases for a variety of different reasons. So I'm excited to do this. I will personally use up as many credits as Madge will allow testing different things. Just to see how it goes, because full disclosure, I have a grandfathered Press Advantage account, so I've got more or less unlimited press releases that I write myself, and those work, and I'm starting to test some strategies there. So having access to Madge's network and testing those strategies with different providers or different tests is freaking awesome to me, because then you can say this works better in this circumstance, that works better in that circumstance, this strategy seems to work better with GSA than a press release, or vice versa. So I'm looking for answers.
Yeah, and one of the problems is potential problems. So I'll just put this out there so Madge knows about it. Some of the things we might want to test, we might not be able to test because it would upset the people that Madge has to work with to get these press releases out there. So there are limits on what we can reasonably test and get approved to go out for distribution. But we'll see. We'll run it all past Madge, make sure it's okay or not, and we'll see what we can learn.
Sure. No,
yeah.
I'm honestly looking forward to it, because I don't have time to case study or test runs because of the amount of orders that we have through. And I think this show is the best way of showing people whether PRs can work for local, national, depending on the niche and the campaign that you're doing. So I'm looking forward to it.
Very cool.
Yep. All right. So with that, let's get into some of the Q&A here. Let's see. Dan Hale's excited that Fight Club is back. Me too. We always take a big hit in our numbers whenever we take a break, and so it's always difficult to get back to where we were. Let me also mention Clint Butler's SEO this week. So he did a pretty good recap of everything that happened in Vegas. So be sure to check that out. It's Digital Ear on YouTube, or SEO this week. Tested SEO training. Lee mentioned his training program is starting up the next round. So you got to get in an interview with Lee to take this class. He doesn't let everybody in. It is not for novices. It is not for people who want to rip off his content and republish it. It is not for, people that don't know what they're doing. So he says no to a lot of people. And so you got to schedule your interview, get in, show them that you know the basics of SEO and that you're in a place where you can actually get an ROI from this education. So it is people that are at a level trying to get to a next level. Powerful training.
Yeah, and this one is the last one for a while, because I'm not doing anything in the fourth quarter. So if people miss out on this one in September, the next one won't be until February, March.
All right.
Year. So
keep that in mind. If you're not in this one, you're gonna be waiting. And then Carolyn's not here today, but she does the Crawl or No Crawl and Confessions of an SEO. So if you're looking for some binge-worthy content, there's that podcast. And Paul Andre De Vera, an SEO video show. That's a good one to check out. He interviews all the personalities in our industry. So if you want to know who does what and how they came to be in doing that and what advice they give, it's a great resource. You can look up any influencer in the industry. They've been on Paul's show.
Yeah.
All right.
I was lucky in Vegas. Dre was there, got a chance to have several interactions with him. He's a dude. I'm just saying, watch his show. He does a lot of work to make that thing work. So,
yep. All right. So I am going to stop the share so I can look at the YouTube questions. Let's see. Kim says it was good to meet you guys at Digital Unfiltered. I learned from all of your presentations. Thank you. Yeah, it's a great time. I wish there would have been more networking. Usually, like Lee said, there's the hanging out at the bar aspect, but that was really hard to do in Vegas. See, Charles says he was going into withdrawal over SEO Fight Club not being around. So we'll try to get you a good regular fix of the show. I was talking with Clint. He wants to discuss a format change. So I'll probably have Lee and Clint in a side meeting at some point and talk about what to do next, because we're kind of going a little thin on the Q&A stuff. So we need more content. And so testing and interviews and stuff like that. Let's see. More welcome backs. Let's see. Honey says it's hard on speakers to get new info together. That's true. It's we often present more than we make discoveries. And so that's a problem in our industry. So we need to discover more and probably present less to avoid topic burnout.
I don't know. I think my fashion tips for SEO talk was well received.
Yeah. Let's see. Someone says they did a press release with Magic PR and less than 5% are indexed. And so these terms we got to be a little careful about, because what ends up happening, a press release is technically duplicate content. So you send it out for distribution, it goes out to hundreds of places, and what you get back from the press release service is like a PDF or a spreadsheet with all the links that it was syndicated to. And so you can go and click those links and see that it was actually syndicated there. And you can search those URLs and see that Google is actually aware of those URLs. Now, people get upset because when they search for, the press release keywords or phrases, that they only see 2. Well, that's because Google is duplicate filtering down to 1 or 2 for a search, because they don't want to show 500 of the same document because it's duplicate content. So you have to know that those are in the link graph and they're going to do their boosting, because being in the link graph and being findable in search are 2 different things. So you can have 2 showing up in search, but have all 500 sending authority in the link graph. And so as an SEO, I like that. That's camouflage, because you don't want to signal to all your competition that a press release is a great idea. As much as Madge would like that, we as SEOs, we do not like that. We would rather kind of go under the radar at what our tactics are. And so having a press release that is on topic, but maybe not optimally tuned or over optimized, is kind of best, because you don't want to compete with it. You don't want to signal your competition to use the method. You want it to be good enough, but not too good. Now Lee is going to differ. He likes to go all in on his. There's more than one way to rank a page. You want to speak to your ideology?
Yeah, there's only one correct way, Ted, and that's my way, not your way. No, I'll say this. First, the censors can bleep this out, but I give zero fucks about indexation on a lot of the backlinks. As long as they get crawled and they get in the link graph, we can see them do work. And there have been tons of tests by people here, by me, by SIA has done a ton of them in a variety of different ways. You can see that links that do not appear indexed do very, very real work. So I enjoy the stealth, and I will actually build a lot of my link building. If possible, 100% of my link building would be invisible to everybody but Google, because I wanted to do things. But I do like to optimize my press release as well. You can use whatever tool. I use Cora to optimize my press releases before they ever go out, because I like them to be very, very relevant. But yeah, there is this thing, if you saw, hey, Lee's ranking #1 because he used Madge's press release, I'll go use Madge's press release service and rank #1. That kind of sucks for the SEO side of things, but Madge is hoping for those case studies and everything else. So you're right about that. We're at a little bit cross purposes on that one. If Madge is my secret weapon, I don't want everybody to know.
The other reason why press releases don't get you across the finish line is, historically it was this concept of bad SEO. But the more we've done research, the more we've come to learn that bad SEO is actually quite rare. It's not the problem. What people are doing that's not getting across the finish line is incomplete SEO. The stuff they're doing is constructive. They're just not doing enough of it, or they're not doing it in enough areas, or, they're missing a lever. And so it's probably more correct to say that it's incomplete SEO than to say it's bad SEO. And so with press releases, the question comes up, do you have enough factor diversity? Do you have enough of the mixture of things that in concert gets you across the finish line? So what levers are you neglecting? Or was the one press release you did enough for the keyword you're trying to rank? And so we like to go to the data and look at the data on these issues to see where are the gaps in your strategy. And so if you did a press release and that didn't get you across the finish line, what did the data say you need? What did the data say you're lacking? So it's good to get that measurement data so you can see, did the plan line up with the deficits?
All right. I think that is a widespread thing that I see is people say, I tried X, I don't care what X is, and I didn't rank #1, so X sucks. And that's the incomplete SEO at its thing. I did a press release, I used this tool to optimize my on page, I used this link building tool, process, methodology, whatever it is. A lot of times they work, but there's only pieces of it. And Terry Power dropped a message in chat, said, let's not forget that at last year's Rockstars, Madge handily won all 3 SEO contests. So, I think he used a press release or 2.
Yep. All right. Let's see. Oh, we got Clint coming in. He must have got off his phone call. Welcome, Clint. We were just answering questions, but besides what you mentioned on your show this week, did you have any thoughts you wanted to share about Vegas?
Well, that was a lag. I'm going to assume that you're talking to me.
Oh, yeah. Just asking you, besides what you covered on your show, are there any thoughts you wanted to share about Vegas?
No, I think it was good to see some new people on stage, get some new blood in the speaking circuit, as it was. I'm sure everyone's tired of hearing you, me, Kyle, etc. talking. So And I walked away with some great ideas out of it. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I thought content-wise it was top-notch. It's one of the tougher shows to beat in terms of content delivered. Let's see, where are we in the questions? So we just did somebody was just saying they tried a magic press release and it didn't work for them. I gave my answer, Lee gave his answers. You have any answer for somebody who tries a press release and it didn't work for him?
Well, I bought a truck and it didn't haul my flower bed, so it was useless waste of money. I mean, come on. It's one press release. You have to do multiple things with it. Yeah, Madge is doing boosting and stuff like that, but he's not the one selecting your anchor text. He's not the one selecting your targets. He's not the one doing your analysis. That's all on you. So do another one. And if it doesn't work again, guess what? It's still on you. Press release syndication is just that. He's syndicating your press release and using your anchor text and using your embeds. That's all he's doing.
That's a good point. All right. Let's see. Yeah, Honey says the links don't need to be indexed, just crawled. So put the links in your indexer. That's a good tip. Some people will actually do a bit of link building to the press release distribution. I know if you fly off the handle on that, they will block you and get rid of your press releases. It's a good way to shoot yourself in the foot if you go nuts on it, but a sprinkle is always good. Let's see. Kim says she wants to take Lee's course, but we'll have to wait until 2024 to apply. You know,
Okay.
When it's right, it's right. When it's wrong, it's not right. Question for Madge or anyone. How does press release perform if you're not in the US or UK for small local businesses? Any data on that, Madge?
Performing in what sense?
I'm guessing that they have a restaurant in Cambodia. Is there a press release solution that'll help them in the map pack?
We can use press releases across. Well, I have clients using it any country, right? Now, again, are you trying to achieve to get top 3 with one PR campaign? No, that won't do the trick. Yes, the name is Magic PR, but that doesn't mean it's the magic bullet. But where we can help is we can write a newsworthy story for your so-called restaurant, whatever it may be, make it newsworthy, optimize it using Cora or using whatever other tool. Once we've done that, we can syndicate it and get the same results from the syndication part. Will that achieve to get you where you need to be? That time will only tell. Result-wise, it really depends on the competition, what industry you're in, and so forth. There's a lot of factors involved.
Yeah, quite often is the case, and you can get data from a number of tools and services out there. Quite often is the case, your competitors are doing nothing or next to nothing. So any effort on your part, and for many keywords, is going to be overkill compared to what they're doing. Now, there are keywords where that is not the case. Most commonly, payday loans. But you have to remember that there is a 20-year head start on link building for the keyword payday loans. And there is no 3-month SEO contract or a press release distribution that negates 20 years of link building. And likewise, you can go to your financial planner and you can demand a 3-month investment that yields a 20-year return, and they're going to laugh you out too. So there is a reality for some keywords, but for a lot of the low to mid competition keywords, you'll often find that the competition on a URL by URL basis is not doing a whole heck of a lot.
Ted, I think we just had our first SEO Fight Club expose. because Madge admitted that his PRs aren't magic.
Time for a PR.
That's an admission, sir.
All right.
I wish they were though.
So
Hey, can I put out a press release saying that Madge says that they're not magical?
I don't think the distributors will allow it, but yeah, we can try.
I'm actually really interested to hear from Clint, because whenever he doesn't chime in, that usually means he has some good data.
Yeah.
Or
Too
I'm
quiet.
not paying,
Too quiet,
in all
Butler.
fairness, it could also mean I'm not paying any attention whatsoever.
All right,
Yeah,
all right.
yeah.
But the question, Clint, is press releases in small local businesses. Is there magic in there?
No, I don't think there's magic. I mean, Terry showed his. He's doing that for not for nothing. I'm also outranking him and not doing nearly as much as he is, but he's doing PRs and spending $1,500 trying to rank for keywords in local business. So if you follow Terry's link stack, rank PR stacking method, you're looking at spending a lot of money. If you do like something with press advantage, like Bradley Benner does, he stacks his, but he's only doing one a month. So, I mean, it's really, you got to figure out your competition and how much you're going to have to push it, right? So, none of my niches, I could go and do press releases till I'm blue in the face and blow all kinds of money, and it probably wouldn't do anything.
Yeah.
Where other niches would be, that's all you need to do.
Yeah, I've done like small local businesses, like tour companies in various countries, and typically I would do like one press release a year, and that would typically combat the link decay and keep their referring domains ahead of the competition. And so I think your point is valid. You have to look at the ROI on the investment that you're going to get back out of it. And so every business needs to do that analysis, because every business's profitability is different. But yeah, I think there is a place for press releases in small local businesses, but you have to go on a case-by-case basis to justify it. And Lee, you spoke about looking at the profitability up front. What are your thoughts? You're the conference speaker on this topic.
The thing is, a lot of times you've got to look and see what it takes to get that done. I mean, like I can sit there and say, oh, I'll go in Clint's backyard. Let's go with rehab. It's a niche that he's in. He does a lot of work in for some big players in that niche. If I'm going to try to rank in rehab and I put up my site and I go and I did a press release, there's no freaking way that it's going to get there, because it's like payday loans. The people have got a big head start. They've got huge budgets. If I told Clint I was going to take him out with one site and one press release, he'd laugh at me and say, good luck. He'd probably encourage me to go do it just to waste my damn time. So when you're looking at these things, all of these things that you need to do, the amount of content, the amount of links, all of those things take time, energy, money. And a lot of times you just need to look up front and see if it's worth doing before you ever start. And not a lot of people ask that question. I know I didn't for a long, long time and got my ass handed to me over and over again. So I got painful scars on that one.
Yeah, I mean, publicly, I've talked about the keyword yoga pants back in my retail days, and how that keyword, it was a valuable keyword to have, but I could get 20 other keywords that profitably perform the same by the time I could get that one. And so it became a point where, there was better money to be made. So that one was always my white whale. I couldn't invest the time in it to win it, because there were so many other opportunities to go after. And so it really ended up being my black eye on my career. Oh, the keyword tag couldn't get. But, when you ran the numbers, it was also the keyword I couldn't justify.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because you're not making a ton on yoga pants. They're a lower dollar item, even at retail margins, which you guys would have, it's still low dollars per sale. So you can't avoid, or you don't want to have crap tons of engineering time and SEO time to get you something that's going to lose money with that kind of investment.
And academically, it's ended up being kind of a trump card having that black eye, because I could challenge people. It's like, hey, can you win this keyword without throwing a mountain of authority assets on it? Because if somebody can, then I can study that and learn how to break into difficult to break into keywords efficiently. But to date, with that call out there to, can you do it? Many people have dabbled, but nobody's succeeded. So everybody's hitting kind of the same wall I hit with it. And I'm not even saying, can you rank number one? Can you get top 100 in, in an energy efficient way? And
that was hard.
Even at that level,
that was hard. I did an attempt at it just with standard stuff just to see, and it didn't work. And I'm like, okay, well, if I did this and this and this, I'll bet you, but then you're looking at how much time and energy you want to go into it. Now I have another one that I'm looking at potentially trying. I might take another run at that one, for minimum viable, again. But yeah, it's not easy. It's not an easy keyword.
I tried a CoraLite report just to be a smartass.
What result did you get?
I don't even think it even got indexed.
Yeah. So even though it's a personal black eye, it's an interesting barometer. Like it's a cool calibration place to play. So if you think you have a very efficient way of breaking into hard to break in keywords, that's kind of my litmus test. Well, can your method break into this one? Because if you can get number 98 on yoga pants, I'm intrigued. Like that's a victory in my book on that keyword. So I want to study that. If you have an efficient way to get number 98 on yoga pants, let me know. Reach out to me if you can do that without throwing a mountain of authority assets.
Playing devil's advocate, though, if I could do that, I wouldn't be telling you.
Yeah, because honestly, it's $100,000 worth of course subscribers if you do that too.
How did you do that? I ain't fucking telling you. I'm gonna go get rich first. Maybe I'll tell you when it doesn't work no more. But I'm not.
If you want the bragging right to say you could do the thing Ted couldn't do, I demand proof. Two-way street on that.
I was number one for a month. I took it down. So
I would tell you, this is what it, and I would probably be okay giving you, well, it's you, so I would tell you. But if it was like some clown just going, hey, I'm gonna, here's this challenge, and in response to being the challenge, you have to tell everyone what you did. I mean, go pound sand. I would tell, but for the most part, I would probably leave that as a 10,000 level overview. I build links. I did some on page and some schema. I'm not going to mention, the stealth PHP file in the background and, all the other things that I did.
Let's see, we have 4 comments in a row from Liga. I don't fully understand the question. He's saying,
I didn't think there was a question. There's like statements in there. So
yeah. So if you can wrap that up in a more concise question, we'll take a look at it. What would you recommend for small local businesses in terms of ranking? Well, there's a couple nuances to local that I think our industry doesn't talk about on the regular, and it kind of needs to be brought to the forefront. So, problem number one with local is that the websites that rank in map search are not chosen by Google. That's not Google saying these are the most relevant pages for the keyword you want. The websites that show up in map search are picked by the businesses. So the URLs are largely the home pages, and the businesses largely said, I want to present a home page in map search. And so that's an artifact of the profile. So the most relevant page on your website that is driving the ranking of the profile might be a different URL than the one that is appearing in map search. And so you have to recognize that there is this disconnect and there's this confusion void about which page is ranking the profile and which page is configured in the profile. And so you may have a location service page that is driving your ranking, but the home page is what's listed in the profile. So you need to understand that there's that disconnect. And so with tools like Cora, that often means that you need to run 2 reports to properly do local SEO. You need to run a local report so you know what profile settings, what profile factors you're missing for inclusion in lots of searches competitively. But you also need to run an organic desktop search report for the keyword to find the page that is driving your profile's ranking, and to properly tune that page. So that's 2 Cora reports to do local SEO. And a lot of people don't realize that. They just do the 1 report and tune the homepage for all things. And that can turn into a fragile house of cards. So, if you're new to local, I think you want to proceed slowly and get advice and get measurement data and look at comparisons with other competitors who are killing it. See how they organize their site. Are they doing all keywords on the homepage, or are they doing location pages and service pages and other strategies? And so I would do research before you dive into tactics. What do you think, Lee?
I think, for most SEOs, there's the Google Business Profile and the website work together. They're both called the left hand and the right hand of your business entity. And a lot of what you can do on your website will impact your local rankings. And there are certain things that you can do to your Google Business Profile that will impact your organic rankings as well. So first mistake that people make is they think that it's something different other than you need to get Cora reports, for example, and optimize your website just like you would if it wasn't local. Because if you're not optimized, you don't have those basics covered, you're going to struggle. And that's the first thing that we look at when we're looking at optimizing for local, is how well optimized your website is for the primary terms that you want to go after. Because if your site doesn't say that you're an emergency plumber, or it says it once, you're going to struggle getting that, that local ranking in the map pack as well. So just treat it like normal optimization. Go grab your Cora reports and optimize your pages, and you'll watch your local rankings rise.
Any thoughts, Clint?
I would also go back to the beginning. Even when I came onto the show, I know I was late. I was at a doctor's appointment. But when I came on the show, the first thing I saw was a question, and then followed up with, "My homepage is perfect." I can guarantee you your homepage isn't perfect. Even my homepage isn't perfect. There's always something there that you can do you're probably missing, that is 9 times out of 10 the difference between ranking and not. And it always happens. And then if you're like me, you're Ted or Lee, you've been around for a while, you kind of smack yourself in the head because, why didn't you think of that? So never assume your on-page is perfect. And under that assumption, never assume that your template and your interlinking is perfect. Because it's usually, little things like that can get you to page 1 all by itself, especially in local. You don't need a whole lot in local. It is not by any means easy all the time, but you don't need a whole lot to, get there into at least the top 30. And then after that, you're gonna have to do some work. And that's where all that Cora stuff comes for me. Like quite often times I don't even open Cora anymore because I've been making templates and have that writing process down and everything, that intuitively I've already know kind of what to expect from a Cora report. So when I do run it, I mean, I'm chasing zeros, but I guarantee you my zeros are significantly less than an average person's zeros. And that being said, if you think your on page is on in local, then you're way off base. It's not even close.
Yeah. Cora has that weird effect where when you're new to Cora, it's an accelerator. It's telling you where to apply the gas. But like Clint said, eventually you get intuition on that, and your intuitions tend to be really good. And so Cora switches. It starts becoming the brakes. And some SEOs, they don't want brakes. But if you care about the profitability of your business, then you want to stop applying fuel in places where it isn't needed. And so Cora becomes the thing that can tell you when to stop in certain areas and to move on.
It's balancing you out. And like all SEO tools, you should be able to use that long enough that you know intuitively what it's going to be looking for before you even turn the stupid tool on. Yeah. And if you can catch that at writing, when you're writing your templates and setting what your outlines for your pages and get it done all there, it makes your workflow easier and a lot more enjoyable too.
Yeah, and like a lot of the ways I use Cora continually is in like an audit phase. So when I'm pricing out the work, when I'm figuring out the SEO plan, but by the time I have the report and I've done the audit, I probably won't need to come back to Cora for a long, long time because I've gotten the answers. I've found your technical SEO problems with the volatility tool, and I know I have a secret technical SEO issue to solve before I can rank the page. I know how much work and what degree of tuning I'm going to need. I know how much time it's going to take me. Yeah, largely, outside of the audit, I usually won't come back quickly to another SEO report for a keyword and URL.
There's something I'm going to just touch on something that Clint said, in terms of his on page not being perfect or his SEO not being perfect. Part of minimum viable is you're doing SEO that's good enough. You're not doing maximum SEO, which would be, what perfection would be. I looked at one of the sites that I'd thrown up earlier this year in a hurry, had really good on page and everything else. I did an internal link audit and I was like, Jesus, Lee, do you know what you're doing? Well, who did this crap? And then, those sort of things are there. So there's nobody that has. I have not yet seen perfect on page from anybody. And usually the people that claim it are so far off. It's,
Yeah, I would also caution you on minimal viable SEO, because if you do minimal viable SEO and a guy like me or a guy like Dan Hill comes into your market and we're used to playing in tough markets, we're gonna smack the dog shit out of you.
Yeah.
Minimal viable SEO to make sure you're not throwing away your money, and then get your SEO hat on and do a good job.
Yeah. Minimum SEO is weak SEO. All right. Unbeatable SEO and minimum SEO, not the same thing. But it's good academically to understand what it's going to take to get into a bracket, but how to dominate that bracket and not lose it, that's not minimum.
Yeah.
Exactly. But there's a good enough level. Like, I don't need 10 million links. If 1,000 links will do, I won't go build 10 million. So you always got something in the reserve. But I'm not going to sit back and build like one backlink and hope that it holds.
Yeah, but there is value in knowing, what it's going to take to get a brand new website to #1 for an easy to mid keyword. Like that's
you
useful.
can do like in that example, is say you ranked it with one backlink. Now you know in your plan to do one backlink a month. So someone comes in with 100 backlinks, you've already got 100 as it's collected up, right? So yeah, for sure. Plus, there's the other side of it. Is this worth actually ranking for? So no, I don't think anyone in this room has ranked more city SEO pages than me. And I can tell you that ranking for city SEO is a waste of fucking money. And we wasted a lot of money doing it. So, I mean, so that's doing the minimal viable SEO to figure out what your conversions are going to be. And if there's actually money there, it's another good, important reason to know that stuff.
Agreed.
I'm just swearing all over your show, Ted. You're going to demonetize you.
It is what it is. So last two questions, and then I got to wrap it up for a phone call. All right, which is better for a beginner, Ahrefs or Cora? I'd say Cora is awful for a beginner. It's very technical, and if you don't know HTML, it's going to be a nightmare for you. But if you've got the fundamentals of SEO kind of mastered, Cora can take you to another level. But I would not advise it for a beginner or moms and pops. If you don't know what you're doing, Cora's a bad place to start.
Yeah, if you're a beginner, Page Optimizer Pro is where I send everybody. It's the basics. And then once you're intermediate or comfortable enough to call yourself intermediate, you want to learn more, just fire at CoraLite. And then when you're ready to actually step up your game, turn on Cora.
That's a good progression. And if you want a demo, just schedule a demo with me from the contact page, and I'll show you what it is, and so you can see if you need to run for the hills. So, but just know that we have a good habit of turning good SEOs into the industry's best SEOs, and that's kind of what Cora is for, but it's not for beginners. All right, and can you list 135 ranking factors in order of importance? Want to hear Clint's take on this? We do that, topseofactors.com. It's totally free. It's the Cora community shared data. So we publish that out as a public service. So
what kind of question is that? I mean, seriously, you're lucky this isn't my show because I'll give you my opinion.
I think you just did.
Yeah. So they're there. The most important SEO factor is factor diversity. So it's what are the things you're not thinking to do, and you need to think of those and do them. All right. With that, we'll see you guys next week, Tuesday, same time. Thank you again, Madge, for sponsoring us. Looking forward to getting into some press release testing. So reminder to Clint and Lee to start thinking of your testing ideas for press releases. So that should be a fun one. I'm looking forward to it. All right. Thanks a lot, everyone. We will see you again next